While the James Harden trade may continue to dominate headlines, the Sixers made another interesting roster decision which perked my ears up about the future of this franchise. In this video, I'm here to break down why the Sixers' decision to exercise Jaden Springer's team option is more than just a throwaway move and what it means for the direction moving forward. Now, before I get fully into it, I do want to make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe button. That at this point in time, 82% of you guys watching these videos have not subscribed to the channel just yet. The Sixers season is in full swing. We have plenty to break down and plenty to look forward to. I'm going to be here with you start to finish this season right here on Sixers Digest. So I want to keep that Digest family growing. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. It helps us out, and I want everybody along for the ride this year. Now to get into what I want to talk about today, on the eve of the James Harden trade, kind of as a throwaway comment, there was the report that the Sixers are exercising Jaden Springer's fourth year's option. This is more than a throwaway move to me, as the Sixers have very much dedicated themselves to freeing up as much cap space as possible. Now, in most cases, it's not a surprise that a rookie has his team option exercised. In general, this tends to be the standard, and as evidence of this, 53 out of the 60 players drafted in the 2021 and 2022 first round saw their third or fourth year team option exercise. Here to list of the 7 players that have not. That would be James Bouknight of the Hornets, Kai Jones, who we know has had his issues in Charlotte and was waived. Josh Primo also had his issues in San Antonio and was waived. Keon Johnson, a little bit surprised there. Usman Garuba, Josh Christopher, and then Ty Washington to wrap things up there. So Jaden Springer was a first-round pick. It is very much the norm for them to be exercised, but we have not seen a lot of Springer, and because of this dedication to freeing up as much cap space as possible, as evidenced by here, it is surprising that the Sixers did elect to do this. So now you can see that per spot rack, this is already in place. We can see Jaden Springer right at the bottom, and when you look, out of the entire Sixers roster, it is only Joel Embiid, Paul Reed, and Jaden Springer that are currently under contract for next season or for the following season. So that is interesting to me, because what do they see in Springer, and is this the proper move? From my end, both those answers are a resounding yes, that I am excited about the potential talent that this guy has, and we have seen the flashes that already early on in the season, there's been 2 highlight reel plays by Springer that should have opened eyes for Nick Nurse and the future. I'm going to break down both these blocks right here. I'm going to begin with this clip and then have another one to follow it up, but just look at the raw athleticism and the defensive instincts that he displays on this play here.
Acquired along the way.
Lasers block. Jaden Springer with the answer. Oh my word, what a block by Springer. Springer springing off the hardwood.
You can see him coming into your screen. Maxi's on the ball. Springer, look at him springing into action. A nice block.
Now, to start with, that is a special display of athleticism to reach that peak verticality and block that shot, and the timing and instincts. That is a tough play to make. That is in transition. That is a very legitimate athlete in Shaedon Sharpe attacking the basket, and Springer one-ups him, rises above, and smacks that off the backboard. That is very exciting. Those are the type of plays that Springer is capable of, and he has flashed this ability at the G League level. Let's not forget that this kid is still 21 years old. He was drafted when he was 18, and the Sixers knew that he would be a project, that there are growing pains that come with it, but he should be judged as such. Think about he's 21 years old. There were plenty of rookies who were older than him coming into the league this year. The guys being drafted in this previous draft are older than Jaden Springer, who is in his 3rd NBA season at this point in time. Now, there's another highlight reel play that he produced in the first game of the season against the Milwaukee Bucks, which to me is even more impressive. Just look at the way he times this without even looking. This reminds me of like a cornerback in football, the way he's reading the play and the way that he's making an impact. So just look at the way that he manages to find a way to send back Dame Lillard's sort of alley-oop attempt, I guess alley-oop layup attempt, and just how impressive this is here.
In transition they go. Up top, Lillard. Ooh, denied. Jaden Springer.
And Springer's second block already for a guard. This is a good pass. Springer just up and blocks it, and then they're coming back in transition. But this block is outstanding. Springer had a great preseason.
So that is what we're getting from Jaden Springer at this point in time, is he is that high-level athlete. He does have those type of defensive instincts, and those are the types of plays that really no one else on this Sixers roster, and very few across the entire NBA, are capable of making. So I am excited by this kid's future. Now, he is more than that as a player. For what we have right now, it is going to be these flashes, that there's going to be these growing pains to work with. In this same game that he had that impressive block against Shaedon Sharpe, Springer also picked up 4 fouls in the span of 8 minutes. This feels a little bit to me like the Paul Reed battle last year, or under Doc Rivers. Obviously slightly different with the Nick Nurse and positionally how Paul Reed was kind of looked at to be that backup center, while Springer's role is still up in the air at this point in time. But Springer, it does seem like a guy that is every second he's on the court, he's committed to trying to make an impact to earn his stripes, and sometimes he overexerts himself and commits dumb fouls in the process. I do think the foul issues are something that's going to work itself out. In my opinion, I think foul issues are generally very overstated for a player. For example, I don't see a world where Jaden Springer ever plays more than maybe 20 minutes on the Sixers this season. So if you want to use all 6 fouls in your 20 minutes of game time, be my guest, because it's not like you're hurting you there. Felt the same exact way about Paul Reed, that you're there to back up Joel Embiid at this point in time. The best case scenario is you get 12 minutes. If you want to use 5 fouls in that span of 12 minutes, I really don't care. And obviously the context of those fouls matter, that if they're dumb fouls or putting the team in a bad position, it's a much different issue. But if they're stupid reach-ins, if it's him trying really hard for a loose ball that ends up picking up a foul, things like that, it doesn't really bother me in the way that I think many make it out to be. But I do want to talk about Springer's game as a whole. We have not seen a lot of him at the NBA level. As I mentioned, he is in his 3rd season, and he's played under 200 total minutes at the NBA level at this point. There's nothing that you can really take away from these stats. There's just far too small of a sample size. But I do want to take a look at the G League numbers, which I think there can be more read into. And by the way, I am repping the Delaware Blue Coats hoodie today, so shout out to them. But to take a look at Springer's stats here, we can see during the 21-22 season, averaged 14.9 points per game. He saw a pretty significant leap in his point total the next season. His minutes went up and his points as well, 19 points per game, and he did a little bit of it all. That his most recent year in the G League also added 5.3 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 2.4 steals per game, which is incredibly impressive. And something I think everyone is paying attention to is that 3-point percentage. You see a notable leap from 24.1% during his rookie season to 31.9% last year. So that is improvement. Those are things that are notable, and that is a huge factor in what his outlook or what his opportunity will look like for the rest of the season. It really does suck for a lot of guys around the NBA. Sometimes it purely comes down to what that 3-point percentage looks like. That if you can hit them at a high rate and you can be a true 3-and-D guy, you will have a healthy bank account and a healthy opportunity in the NBA. But for guys that don't have that type of talent from a shooting perspective, you have to be really special in other areas. And it is a tough spot for how important a supplemental player like Jaden Springer in this situation has to be as a floor spacer. That we've lived through the Ben Simmons experience here in Philadelphia. Matisse Thybulle, I think, is a more clear, comparison in this situation where Thybulle had to be so special on the defensive end to kind of weigh out as a net positive because of his really inability and unwillingness to improve as a shooter. And ultimately, we've kind of seen his career go down in the process of it. I don't think that's the case with Jaden Springer. And I want to start by saying that I have gotten a chance to go down to Delaware to check him out play a couple games throughout each year that he was there, and I did see a notable leap from his first year to second year in a confidence standpoint, in just the way that he navigates, the way that he goes about his game, the feel that he has for where he's supposed to be, what he's supposed to do, and the expectations for him as a player seem to take a huge step forward. I feel a similar way for him this season and what I've seen from him in a Sixers uniform. We saw more of him in the preseason than we have so far in the regular season. To pull it up once again, as we can see, just 6 minutes per game. So he's played 12 total on the season. Did not get in at all. I believe that was against the Raptors game. He did not play at all. So a little bit of a surprise there. Daniel House was the guy who kind of got the edge over him in the rotation. So Nick Nurse is still very much figuring out what the rotation has been. That's been one of my main themes in a lot of these videos lately, is the Sixers are very much at an evaluation stage of their franchise, of who is here to stick, who can help us contend for a title, who should we move on to, all of these things. Jaden Springer is right in the mix for all of these conversations. And if he has an impressive performance in practices and over the next stretch, he could very well open the door to a real role. There is an argument to be made that right now, at this point in time, Jaden Springer is the best perimeter defender on the Sixers. That is where he's going to kind of make his money in this league and earn his opportunity in the short term. That it is not the defense that there's any doubt. I think right now that you can make an argument that Jaden Springer deserves minutes just purely because of that defense. But it is that offense that will ultimately decide his ceiling and how much he can stay on the floor. Similar to Thybulle, that Thybulle could not play extended minutes because when we got to the postseason, they were straight up ignoring him on the offensive end, which led to pure double teams for Joel Embiid. There cannot be that much of an offensive deficit, and to be frank, I don't think there is with Springer. His handle's still a little loose. He's not super composed. He doesn't have a great bag as far as separation skills, but the shot does look better. There's no hitch in it. Mechanically, it's pretty sound, and I do think that with enough confidence, with enough time, he can be good enough as a shooter to survive in this league and benefit the Sixers. But we have to see this step by step, allow him to get there one thing at a time, and there is still a lot to be figured out with that. For Springer specifically, this is an important stretch for him. That as I speak on the evaluation, this impacts everyone as far as their outlook, but for Springer specifically, I think he's kind of walking the line of, will he be a guy that is showcased in a way that could improve his trade value and help the Sixers to get another win now piece, or is he a guy that they are genuinely looking to develop and have a long-term piece? I do think that he could be a nice supplementary player, a complementary player next to Tyrese Maxey in the backcourt, but also keep in mind the KJ Martin addition, who has some overlapping similarities and weaknesses than Springer. Martin is 2 years older than Springer and a little further along in the developmental process. Springer is obviously a homegrown guy who's been with the Sixers for 3 years now, so you would think that there is some investment from that standpoint, but these are all storylines to keep an eye on moving forward. But for now, we do know that Jaden Springer will continue to be a part of this Sixers franchise. He is an intriguing talent worth keeping an eye on, and even for the people that have begun to sell their Springer stock or give up on the guy after he has not seen a true opportunity throughout the Doc Rivers era, I tell you to press pause on that. Let's see what this kid truly has. Let's see if he can earn more of a pure opportunity. And if it is going to happen, it will be this year under Nick Nurse. That he checks a lot of the boxes for what Nurse likes on the defensive end. He does have the versatility that can help this team. So I am ready to see what Springer can bring to the table. Let me know your thoughts in the comment for Jaden Springer. If you have any opinion on this move, if you think this is something that will benefit the Sixers in the short or long term, and if he is a piece that you were excited about as a whole. Thank you guys for watching once again. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, ringing that bell so you're not missing out on any content. I'll be back with you next time right here on Sixers Digest. Peace.